Hello, Patriots. I'm Lee Watts, and this is Patriot Point, your source for Kentucky news and analysis from a conservative, Christian, and common sense point of view. Well, this week we're going to be looking at why Joe Biden is so mad at Kentucky, because Kentuckians are doing something to expose some serious crimes that he is guilty of with some major evidence. So we're going to be talking about this week. Then at the end of the program, I have a very special announcement. It's something really fun that I'm sure you're going to want to be a part of. So make sure you stick around to the end of the program for this special announcement. But before we get into these different crimes and the evidence and why Biden's so mad at Kentucky, I wrote a little poem that I'd like to dedicate to Joe. So this is a poem from Patriot Point to Joe Biden. There once was a guy named Joe Biden. During COVID, in his basement, he was hiding. He sends our money to Ukraine while his son sniffs cocaine. And for all of his troubles, it's Trump he does blame. Joe sniffs little kids, which is not a good trait. Don't dare try that in our little state. He's brought shame to the Oval Office, both Joe and his son. Besides, the whole country knows that Trump really won. So that's my little poem for Joe Biden, something that I thought would apply to this week. So why is Joe Biden hating on Kentucky right now? Here's the reason why. It's because some of the people that Kentuckians have decided to send up to the United States Congress, specifically out of Kentucky's 1st congressional district, is Kentucky Congressman James Comer. He is the chairman of the House Oversight Committee. Now, as that position, he has access to a bunch of records, and boy, has he come out and exposed some major crimes by the Biden family, when this wouldn't have been done without Kentucky sending this congressman up there. Now, here's something to keep note of, Kentucky. You probably haven't heard about a lot of this. The 4 biggest newspapers in the nation have written more than 250 articles about what I'm about to tell you. Do you know how many articles have been ran in the top 4 biggest newspapers in Kentucky about what I'm about to tell you? 0. That is correct. Absolutely none. Such as the chances of me actually voting for Andy Beshear, which would be none. 0. This is one of the reasons why I hope you watch Patriot Point, because as Kentuckians, you're not going to get this news someplace else. So this is what is going on. This Kentucky congressman back in February found $3 million wire transfer from China directly to the Biden family. He has also found bank violations, fake companies being set up by these guys, illegal money transfers. He also found that when Biden was a vice president, he visited Romania, and then just a few days after he leaves, he receives more than 16 wire money transfers directly from Romanian foreign nationals. He has been directly linked with human trafficking. Literally, the evidence, I'm going to show you the video evidence of this for the Kentucky congressman showing the Biden family, Joe Biden, profiting from human trafficking, the selling of American fuel resources directly to China and putting the money in his family's pocket. Can you imagine if any of these things had been done by not only President Trump, but basically any Republican president? The Democrats would be they'd be calling for this person to be far more than impeached. And we're going to be talking about that in a second. But first, I want to show you some of this video evidence directly from Kentucky Congressman James Comer exposing these Biden crimes that you're probably not hearing about anywhere else. And then stick around for our special announcement.
Today, we're going to provide you with something that you all aren't used to with respect to congressional investigations, and that's evidence. Committee Republicans have spoken with multiple whistleblowers from numerous schemes involving the Biden family, reviewed Hunter Biden's laptop, and received documents of previously unknown transactions. What we found are business plans aimed at targets around the world based on influence peddling, including with people closely tied to foreign governments like China and Russia. The investigation reveals a family that engaged with some of America's most powerful adversaries, planning to sell one of the largest sources of cobalt for electric vehicles in the world to the Chinese, for example. The Bidens flourished and became millionaires by simply offering access to the family. Among the dozens of shell companies the Bidens set up, there were millions of dollars of wire transfers, flights on Air Force Two to conduct personal business, and meetings with heads of state, all while Joe Biden was aware of what was happening. Many transactions related to these businesses have raised red flags at U.S. banks. A suspicious activity report, or SAR, is a document a bank must file with the Treasury Department when a transaction is suspected to be related to money laundering or fraud or other types of criminal activity. According to media reports, the Biden family accumulated over 150 SARs. One SAR generated by an American bank to the Treasury Department connects Hunter Biden and his business associates to international human trafficking, among other illegal activities. The money that was being made from foreign principals in the same room as Joe Biden was increasingly spent on furthering illegal activity. The SARs show that Hunter Biden was conducting business with suspected human traffickers. The money gained through influence peddling was funneled to a suspected criminal enterprise, again, one linked to human trafficking. We also found evidence Hunter Biden sought to evade these SARs using his financial advisor, coincidentally a Clinton administration official. As part of our investigation, we have evidence that the finances, credit cards, and bank accounts of Hunter and Joe Biden were commingled, if not shared. And on some accounts, at least, red flags were raised by banks to the account owner or owners indicating suspicious or illegal activity. Hunter began coordinating business himself, and increasingly the deals brought in Joe Biden as a direct equity holder. One of these deals involves the sale of American natural gas to China. Evidence suggests Joe Biden had a 10% equity stake through his son. At a time when Americans are suffering from high energy prices because of this administration's terrible energy policy, we find evidence that Hunter Biden and Joe Biden were involved in a scheme to try to get China to buy liquefied natural gas, and from a whistleblower to try to get their foot in the door with China starting to purchase an interest in natural gas drillers. And people are in outrage over China buying farmland in the Dakotas. What about China starting to buy into our American energy industry at a time when we have an energy crisis because of the bad policies of the Biden administration? The domestic and international scheme that promised access to wealth in a future Biden administration constitute fraud. And the president's participation in enriching his family is, in a word, abuse of the highest order.
Can you imagine if any Republican had done any of these things, they called to be locking them up? These are things that not only say you should be removed from office, these are the kind of things you have somebody literally thrown in jail for the rest of their lives. And we'll be keeping you up to date on what develops, because you're sure not going to hear this on other news sources. Well, with that said, we still have a special announcement. And this is something I hope you'll really get excited about. Hollywood, if you haven't noticed, has gone crazy. These last few years, they've been pushing this radical leftist woke agenda. But there's been a few good family-friendly films that have stood up and stood out. And I think that we ought to be speaking with our dollars, supporting these kinds of films, saying this is what we want, not all this woke garbage that Hollywood is pushing. Where there's a chance to actually speak with our dollars. There is a wonderful comedy troupe known as Studio C. If you've never seen any of their things, I'm putting up a link to where you can watch some of their videos. They're really short, very family friendly, and incredibly funny. These people recently made a movie, and there's an opportunity to actually rent out a theater in Lexington, have some of the cast members come over, and we can watch this family friendly movie with them. So if you would be interested in this, then put a comment in the comments here saying, hey, I think I'd like to go to this, and this is how many people that I'd probably bring with me. It's not a commitment. We're just seeing how many people would be interested to see if we should go ahead with this idea. So it'll probably be a Saturday in early September, and I think it'll be a great way to say this is the kind of films that we want to see, family friendly. It'll be really funny. And I hope to hear your comments in the comment section below. So that's our special announcements, the news for this week. And I've started to announce that each week, some people know that I'm a preacher. Where I'm going to be preaching each week. This coming Sunday, I'm going to be preaching at the Brooks Baptist Church in Elizabethtown, Kentucky during all their services that day. So if you don't have a church home, you're invited to Brooks Baptist Church in Elizabethtown this coming Sunday. So that's the news we have for you this week. So until next week, I'm Lee Watts for Patriot Point, reminding you that liberty is not a spectator sport.
I don't care who you are. That's funny right there.